We're together for the next hour with everything you need to know from the world of sports. SportsCenter starts with a developing story that could change the course of one of the NFL's most traditional franchises. John Rauch is very close to becoming the new head coach of the New York Jets, according to insider Adam. Throughout the show, we'll bring you the behind the scenes of this negotiation, analyze the immediate impact of this possible hire, and update you on the coaching carousel in the league. In addition, we turn our attention to college football, where Indiana's defense could be the decisive factor in the national championship final. On Monday night, information, analysis, and context. And
You for the next hour ahead. Adam Schefter has the latest on John Harbaugh and the Giants, plus why Indiana's defense may be the key Monday night in the national championship game. This is SportsCenter. Let's go.
This scheme and this conspiracy eventually mushroomed. It eventually enveloped 17 NCAA Division I programs.
We're following a developing story in the NFL. After John Harbaugh spent most of Wednesday at the Giants facility, the Super Bowl head coach believed to be close to a deal. He has talked to the Falcons and was planning to meet the Titans. That is not happening. For much more, senior NFL insider Adam Schefter joins us now. Schefty, what's the latest with Harbaugh and the Giants as they look to finalize this contract?
Yeah. Kevin, this deal is going to get done. John Harbaugh is going to be the next head coach of the New York Giants. I think when you have certain amount of money owed to you from the Baltimore Ravens, you're finalizing contract details and numbers from your new employer, the New York Giants. There's a lot of paperwork to sift through, a lot of details to work out, but that's not going to stop the New York Giants from hiring the man that many teams wanted and the man that was the belle of the ball in this hiring cycle. The Giants have a successor to follow along the lines of Bill Parcells and Dan Reeves and Tom Coughlin, and the man that they believe can elevate this franchise in much the same way that Mike Vrabel elevated the Patriots this year, or Ben Johnson elevated the Chicago Bears. The Giants identified John Harbaugh as the coach they wanted. They went out, they pursued him as aggressively, if not more so than any other team, and they're going to make that deal happen.
All right, with a Harbaugh deal pending in New York, there are 8 remaining head coach openings. 3 are in the AFC North, as the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Browns all looking for a new head man. As we take a look here at 1 spot filled, 8 to go in the coaching carousel. Schefty, what's the next head coach domino you expect to fall?
Well, I think a name that's drawn a lot of interest out there right now is Kevin Stefanski, the former head coach of the Cleveland Browns. He's interviewed with the Dolphins. He's interviewed the Falcons. He's interviewed the Titans. He's interviewed the Baltimore Ravens. There have been a bunch of teams that Kevin Stefanski has spoken to. What's interesting about this cycle, Kevin, is that there also are a number of teams with offensive coordinator openings that are highly appealing. We look at the Philadelphia Eagles, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Detroit Lions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so there are going to be teams out there vying for candidates like Kevin Stefanski that have offensive coordinator jobs that might just be as attractive as some of the head coaching jobs. And so I know there are 8 teams looking to fill their openings right now at head coach, but there might be more in the sense that they're competing with some of those teams with offensive coordinator openings right now.
8 teams looking for a head coach, 8 teams still currently playing. You have some injury updates for this weekend. Let's start with Sam Darnold, some new news.
He emerged on the injury report today, listed as questionable with an oblique injury. Sam Darnold told reporters that he heard it during practice. He came inside to get treatment on it, and he does anticipate playing Saturday night versus the 49ers, but you wonder if that oblique injury will be any type of factor in a game in which the 49ers will not have their Pro Bowl linebacker, Fred Warner. Even though he was trying to come back from a dislocated and fractured ankle, the 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan said today the team is not expected to activate Warner off of injured reserve in time to play Saturday night. If somehow the 49ers could find a way to win Saturday night, Warner could make it back for the NFC Championship game. Meanwhile, Nico Collins, the great Texans wide receiver, not at practice today. It certainly seems like a sure thing that he's not going to be playing on Sunday on a short week when he's in concussion protocol and had to be carted off the field on Monday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers due to that concussion. So the Texans are going to have to make do without Nico Collins in a game it looks like the Patriots will be getting back their outstanding cornerback Christian Gonzalez from concussion protocol. He was a full participant in practice, and barring a setback later this week, it looks like he is tracking to play Sunday against the Texans.
That is no doubt big news. The Patriots currently a 3-point favorite at home is a special bet. Let's start here with the Saturday game, Bills-Broncos. When you look at Josh Allen and this Buffalo's offense, how do they attack this defense of the Broncos?
Backs and tight ends, backs and tight ends, backs and tight ends. I think this is the strength of Buffalo, and this is the weakness of Denver. This is the way that you want to attack a defense in Denver that has Surtain and Riley Moss, but plays a ton of man. Now, Buffalo does an outstanding job of pre-snap motion to create those matchups, confirm information, and then attack. They'll motion a guy over like a Shakir. You're going to get Kincaid, that tight end. He's the one-on-one matchup. If you're going to cover Kincaid this weekend with a linebacker, Josh Allen is going to feature him down the field. He's a very difficult, very good route runner, very loose at the top of his routes. Those are going to be advantageous matchups. Shakir's the guy. He's the motion person. Now, a lot of people think of Khalil Shakir as a wide receiver. He is. He's also utilized as a back in many ways. There goes that motion. And then James Cook. How are you going to cover James Cook? Sometimes teams have tried to double team him, get him matched up with a linebacker and or defensive end. He's just too dynamic a big pass catcher. So Kincaid, Knox, James Cook, and Shakir. They got to go for about 20 catches for over 150 yards.
J-Mac, why is Denver's defense so tough to face?
You're talking about the front five. Those are the guys that get after you on early downs. They're going to have 5 guys rush to get one-on-ones with your offensive linemen. When they do that, they believe my 5 is better than yours. On third down, that's where you're going to start to see some of those games show up and be able to get around and cause havoc. Get to Josh Allen and don't allow those guys to beat you. Then on the other side, he mentioned Dalton Kincaid. If I'm the Denver Broncos, I'm putting Pat Surtain, my best cornerback, on their tight end with the injuries they have at the wide receiver position.
Joe, what's the play?
Under 45.5 total points. Dan was talking about Buffalo's offense, pre-snap motion, how they want to see what the defense is going to show them. That takes time off the clock. They have the slowest pace in the NFL. You limit the plays, you limit the opportunities to score. Key to the handicap is the amount of man coverage Denver plays. It's a lot. If you go through Buffalo's metrics this year, zone coverage versus man, their completion percentage drops off by 11 percentage points. QB rating drops off by 10 points. It's not an Allen problem. It's a wide receiver problem. They don't beat man coverage. They don't get open consistently down the field.
Bills currently 1.5-point underdogs on the road. This season, keep in mind, Josh Allen 5-0 against the spread when the line is within a field goal. Keep that in mind. All right, Saturday night, Niners, Seahawks, they'll meet for the second time in 3 weeks.
Why don't you give me a special bet?
Sam Darnold right now, some concerns. He's not 100%. You got to rely on this running game. What makes this running attack so special?
Yeah, they pick off defensive backs like him.
He's crazy. Crazy, Dan.
These wide receivers do a fantastic job. And, you know, in football, we say the 5-yard run becomes a 10 or 12-yard run when you have receivers that are willing to block, all 3 of them. You talk JSN, you talk Cooper Kupp, you talk Rashid Shaheed. And so the challenge for San Francisco is, can those defensive backs, those corners and those safeties, are those guys going to not only trigger faster, get to the ball faster, but then also be more physical? They can't get picked off, because if you get picked off in this run game, there's seams for this run game. And so I think that's going to be a huge key, whether Sam Darnold is healthy or not. Can San Francisco's back 7 kind of out-physical the wide receiver core in Seattle?
J-Mac, what do you expect to see from this Seattle defense?
And they dominated in the last time they got a chance to go against this offense. I think when it comes to them and throwing the ball with Brock Purdy, it's packing that middle of the field and understanding the route concepts that are trying to beat you. You got to watch these inside defenders. As soon as they get cleared, you see them dropping back to the middle with vision on the quarterback. Now here, Thomas comes off. He sees the ball thrown, makes a big hit. Same thing here. You're going to watch right in the middle. Jones comes straight back, taking away the middle of the field. Then right next to him, Witherspoon, they're communicating. He drops back to the middle, forces the check down, and they run and hit just as good as any defense in the league. right here, you're going to see how these guys work almost on a string. When one moves, the other one is moving right with him and reading the eyes of Brock Purdy. Now you see the routes. All right, if he's matching that low one, I now have to get to the one behind it, nowhere to go with the ball, and that's where the sack comes.
Which side you like, Joe?
Seattle -7. This is a brutal spot for the Niners. You got to play in Philly on the East Coast Sunday afternoon. Then you got to go to Seattle 6 days later against a team that's had 2 weeks to get ready. Situation advantage for Seattle. On top of that, Sam Darnold's kryptonite, pressure, something the Niners don't generate. Since week 3, when Nick Bosa was lost for the season, Niners ranked 31st in the NFL in pass rush win rate. On the other side, no George Kittle for a Niner offense that's generated just 20 points in 2 games against the Seattle defense. It's only giving up 17 points per game on the season. This game could get ugly.
All right, the Nuggets keep on coming in the playoffs. The Seahawks, by the way, 5-0 outright as a favorite when they were favored by at least 7 points. Okay?
Nuggy.
All right, this is what we do. We're backing up some of the things you're saying. All right. I mentioned this is a playoff. Ben Johnson isn't shy, and he's backed up a lot of what he has said so far, including having home playoff games in the Windy City. In their first one at Soldier Field last weekend, they shocked the hated Packers. Next up, the Rams from sunny L.A. They won in Carolina last weekend, a far cry from the shores of Lake Michigan in the middle of January. And in Sunday night's game, the predicted real field temp will be -11. Justin Tinsley has more.
Michael Irvin, beloved belt connoisseur, NFL Hall of Famer, and part-time meteorologist once said, "Man, when we played in that cold weather, we was cold." No other description fits for what the Chicago Bears and Los Angeles Rams are walking into Sunday evening. Temperatures clawing to reach double digits. A wind gust making it feel like double digits below. Consider this the Chicago frozen red carpet treatment. For the Rams, it's frigidly simple.
I think the way that our guys play, I think it suits us well in any sort of conditions, and that's kind of what we've always said.
If you expect the team from Los Angeles to hold up in conditions colder than a polar bear's toenail, never mind coming within a stone's throw of beating the Eagles in Philly in the snow last January.
They got him. They sacked him. It's Carter, Jalen Carter. He gets himself a Matthew Stafford.
Almost, though, never counts in situations like these. This is don't play with your food weather. You're not guaranteed to eat again. One win, and no matter how these playoffs end, the Rams don't have to leave the West Coast anymore. With the Bears, this is all Caleb Williams and crew can ask for.
Touchdown Bears! It's over at Soldier Field. The Iceman coming. The Iceman taken.
An advantageous defense, foaming at the mouth in conditions most wouldn't dare sit through, and certainly not Don Padson. One more win, and this team begins to whisper its name with the city's elite. All that stands between here and football heaven is walking through a frozen hell. The team that keeps that in mind continues towards an eternal flame that even the coldest winter ever could extinguish.
For much more, let's bring in Dan Orlovsky and Joe Fortenbaugh back here on SportsCenter. Dan, when you look at it, especially from a quarterback perspective, what makes Puka so special?
You can move him around in so many different places. He's almost positionless. Then he's also a guy that you just give him the ball, he'll go make plays with it because he's so physical with the ball in his hands. He's so difficult to tackle. He's almost like a running back when you're trying to tackle him, but the different ways you can utilize him. The Rams do an outstanding job of that. We call this the number 3 position. So he's closest to that tackle. He sees blitz. Not only does he sit in a soft spot, but there's the yards after the catch. Just a very difficult guy in space one-on-one. This time the Rams line him up at running back because they know the type of coverage he's going to get. Even though he's in that running back position, he's running routes like a wide receiver down the field. They love to give him jet sweeps or perimeter screens down in the red zone where you can get people out to the perimeter, then you throw him the ball. The defense is in the right place, but he's just so strong that you can't tackle him. So Sean McVay is constantly doing different things to get him the football and making sure that this is our best player. We want the ball in our best player's hands. So not only is he a great route runner, he has great awareness, he's just a guy that you want to make sure that you give him the football and touch it as many times as possible. And his understanding of when to come to the top of his break and speed out of it, or when to come to the top of the break and be a little bit slower. If you watch Puka run his routes, every time he gets to the top, he's always going to be peeking, and he's looking for where the defenders are. We call them the bad guys. Mm-hmm. He's always going to make sure, don't run to them, or if they're coming to him, run opposite, so he's getting himself open. Just a very smart but talented physically player.
Fearless always does the dirty work here. Man. What's the bet you like in this game?
I think we get a lot of points here. Over 48.5 would be
even though it's so cold.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. We're getting a discount here because it opened 51.5, and then the total got slammed earlier this week because of the weather, and it plummeted to 48.5. I think we're still priced for scoring. Let's start with the Rams defense. They have fallen off a cliff since week 13, 22nd or worse in scoring, efficiency, and EPA. On the other side, you have a Bears defense that ranks 23rd in scoring despite all the turnovers they forced this year. What happens if they're not forcing turnovers? They're giving up points. This game's priced to score. I'd go over 48.5.
Keep in mind, at a certain point in this game, around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, the feels like is going to be -4 degrees.
Football
Keep
weather,
that in mind. Cannot wait.
It's football weather.
Game to win, man.
What are you talking about? We're not in the studio
I'm
with
just
Booger.
saying, keep it in mind. Late game on Sunday is Texans and Patriots here. What stands out about Drake May, especially matched up against this Texans defense?
You're always looking for what can I do against the defense to have success. This is probably one of the defenses, if not the one, where you go, I don't have a lot. If you're New England, I'd love to see 6 offensive linemen on the field more. That's something that just commits to protection for Josh McDaniels and Drake May. That's one of the things you have to start every single play against Houston. And they can build in ways where you can get a completion if you want. That's to the bottom of the screen. But then at the top of the screen, we call it a 2-on-1. You got to take shots against this defense. You're not going to hit them often. But if you have that protection, Drake May has the opportunity to peek down the field and try to create some conflict for defenders strong enough to drive the football. What Houston's going to have to ask themselves defensively is how, when New England puts that 6th offensive lineman on the field, do they want to defend it? The Chargers last week put 4 defensive backs, 7 bigs, right? 7 big defensive linemen or linebackers. Josh McDaniels like, great. Here comes run, here comes run, here comes run, here comes run. Psych, here comes play action. Then you take another shot. Travion Henderson really good in protection, but Drake May being able to what we call layer the football over defenders is really big. I don't think this is a game where you think, if you're New England, let's drive the length of the field all the time. You got to take 3 or 4 shots a quarter. If you hit one, that's an advantageous thing. The other thing is, I truly believe he's going to have to run for north of 70 or 80 yards. Houston doesn't give up a lot on defense, but an athletic quarterback that can make plays with his legs, that's a big deal.
I did not have the word psych being,
It just
put
speaks
out
to my
there on this
maturity level.
Center broadcast here.
Used.
Said. All right, what's the play in the matchup?
I'd take Houston plus 3.5, but that would mean I'd have to admit defeat in a debate against Dan from Get Up 8 weeks ago. So I'm going to run from my problems like my therapist and I talk about every Wednesday, and we're going to go under 40.5 points. A nice casual play to avoid the situation. I think this game is going to play out a little similar to what we just saw Sunday night in Foxborough. You got a great Houston defense going up against a Patriot offense where Drake May, against teams with a winning record this year, just 2-2 straight up, 2-2 against the spread, only 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, 17 sacks taken. I think it's going to be tough for them to move. And with Milton Williams back for New England, I think it's going to be tough for Houston to move as well. Low-scoring rock fight.
Season so far, the Texans allowed just over 17 points per game. That's the fewest in franchise history. You're going to do the entire show together, right?
Yeah.
Psych!
Yeah.
The New York Giants are finalizing a deal to make him their next head coach. Remember, they fired Brian Daboll in November, and Harbaugh was fired by Baltimore after 18 seasons and a Super Bowl win. Senior NFL insider Adam Schefter joining me now. So what is the latest with Harbaugh and the Giants?
Christine, they're going to get this deal done. It's not officially signed yet. It's not agreed to yet. But there is a commitment, a verbal commitment from both sides to make this deal happen and to allow John Harbaugh to become the first head coach hired during this head coaching cycle and to give the Giants their next leader for the 2026 season. He will follow along the lines of men like Bill Parcells, Dan Reeves, Tom Coughlin, men who came from other jobs to lead the Giants forward into the future. The Giants put the full court press on John Harbaugh from the moment that the Ravens fired him 9 days ago. They were the first team that he visited their training facility. That was yesterday. They were determined not to let him go without having some sort of verbal agreement that he would be their head coach. And by the end of the day, they had that. A commitment from John Harbaugh that he would be coaching next season. He was drawn to the Giants ownership group. He was drawn to the Giants quarterback, Jackson Dart. And now the Giants are the first team in this cycle with 9 openings to land their head coach.
Obviously, great news for Giants fans. And when they do hire Harbaugh, it will be the first time they've ever hired a Super Bowl winning coach in their 101-year history. All right, the second thing you need to know, injury reports for this weekend coming out just a short time ago. What do we need to know about Saturday's game in Seattle?
Chris report today was the addition of Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold, who's listed as questionable for Saturday night's game against San Francisco due to an oblique injury that he suffered during practice today. Now, he said it was not terrible, but he decided rather than push it, he would go inside the training room, get treatment, but he told reporters just minutes ago that he does expect to be out there playing Saturday night. Now, all eyes will be on Sam Darnold to see how he performs. He is expected to play. His backup is Drew Lock in case there are any setbacks. And, of course, there are other injury questions. Everybody wondered whether Fred Warner would make it back from his fractured and dislocated ankle a short time ago. Kyle Shanahan said that Fred Warner will not be activated for this game on Saturday night. And the 49ers wide receiver Ricky Pearsall will be listed as questionable, though it certainly feels like he's trending the right way.
All right, you mentioned Drew Lock, obviously the backup quarterback there. He's made 28 starts in his career, as you saw on that graphic, but he has never played in a playoff game. Adam Schefter with the latest. Thank you. Our take 2.
This is a huge win for the Giants because the Giants don't have to guess.
This is an enormous hiring for the New York Giants.
This is exactly what the Giants fans wanted and needed.
Let's not act like, oh my God, the Giants have been resurrected. The change has arrived, and all of a sudden they're just going to be this team that we hoped and thought they would be, spanning a decade and a half.
Sometimes a coach can be wrong for one organization and absolutely right for another based on the timeline. That's how I feel about the Giants adding Harbaugh.
The New York Giants haven't had this level of an adult in the room, certainly since Tom Coughlin.
They don't have a culture that they could cling to or have been able to cling to since Coughlin left, and that's what Harbaugh is.
I think this sets the Giants up to immediately contend as a playoff football team. I'm not going to sit here and tell people they're in the playoffs.
I think he's a good coach, but I don't think New York Giants fans should be like, yeah, we good now. We good. Now, let's wait and see.
All right, one of Harbaugh's first orders of business should be fixing the Giants' run defense. His Ravens led the league in yards allowed, yards per rush, and yards before contact per rush in the last 5 seasons. Big Blue ranked dead last in those 3 categories. As we welcome in Jason McCourty. You going to do what Stephen A. was doing?
No, I'm not going to. You just mastered it that you don't need me to follow up on that.
I love when he does that. Okay, so what should Harbaugh's first order of business be in New York?
The first thing he's got to do is fill out this coaching staff. He's got to figure out who's going to be the offensive coordinator leading the charge with Jackson Dart. Todd Monken was the OC that was with Lamar the last few years. Everyone has talked about Todd Monken coming over with him to the New York Giants. Well, he's interviewing for a head coaching job is in play with the Cleveland Browns. So I think for John Harbaugh, once you get that offensive coordinator, the next thing is setting the culture in this organization. Yeah. We talked about the turmoil that's happened and all the coaches you just named not being able to figure it out. Harbaugh now is going to be responsible being the CEO over everything and getting moving in the right direction.
And knowing where the Giants, I just laid it all out. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 2011. Knowing how far they have been, how soon do you think that Harbaugh will turn things around in New York?
I think it's realistic to say, oh, give him a little bit of time. But I think if I'm a fan, I'm hopeful for this upcoming year. The hell with what Stephen A. said. I think you look across the league and you look at a Mike Vrabel with the New England Patriots. That was a team that had won 8 games in the past 2 seasons. Vrabel comes in, hires Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator. They win a division. Now they are playing in a playoff game this weekend. Ben Johnson with the Chicago Bears. He takes a second-year quarterback, wins their division. So if I'm a Giants fan, I'm like, hey, we got some pieces. We got some people here. Like, Harbaugh, you're a good coach. Come figure this thing out right now.
Or, we're good now. That vibe. All right.
I can't do it.
Let's go not in my to the games this weekend. Denver has one of the most dominant pass rushes in the league. The Broncos had 68 sacks, tied with Lawrence Taylor's 1985 Giants for 5th most in a season. Josh Allen is very difficult to take down, though. He's been sacked on just 16% of the time when he's been pressured in his career. So that is the 4th best rate in the NFL since 2018. Let's look at the other side of things, though. The other quarterback, Bo Nix. What can his offense do to try to keep up with Josh Allen?
I think for Sean Payton, his head coach and play caller, getting Bo Nix to understand, hey, on the other side of the ball, Josh Allen has to be Superman for them to win the games. We don't have to do that on our side of the ball. You have to be smart, be good decision maker, and continue to move this team around. I think it starts with first using Bo Nix's legs, especially early on in this game, to settle him down. That's to run the ball, but also to throw the ball, getting him outside the pocket. The second part is trusting that offensive line, running the football, and then short and quick passing game on the outside. Denver's one of the best teams in the league at wide receiver screens. Use those things, get the ball out quick, allow your playmakers to make plays and take some of that pressure off of Bo Nix.
All right, we'll see if they're able to keep up. The later game on Saturday, 49ers Seahawks. First of all, their quarterback, Sam Darnold, any issues with that oblique injury?
You're a little nervous about it. Whenever a guy is a full participant at the beginning of the week and then pops up as limited with an injury, you assume that that happened on the practice field. So it's a quick turnaround for him to be able to go out there. This game's on Saturday, not Sunday, so to be able to go out there and perform. But Darnold himself said he is fine, and there's a 0% chance that he'll miss that game.
Okay,
So
all right,
we'll
we'll see what happens. What can the Seahawks take from their last win and carry into this one?
Well, they didn't ask a ton from Sam Darnold, but what showed up was him making plays when they needed it most, and specifically on third down. Him coming through with whether he was using his legs or using his arms to convert. And I think that's going to be something that shows up, and that's what they need from Sam Darnold. They don't necessarily need the 300 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. But when you talk about oblique injuries, can he do that? Can he scramble around? Can he make those type of plays to extend those drives? Because when he extends the drive, it gives this fantastic defense time to rest, hang out on the sideline, and get ready. This was at the end of the fourth quarter, a huge play to propel and make sure they walked away with the victory.
All right, we'll see what happens. It's going to be a good one. Broncos and Seahawks both coming off byes as the 1 seeds in each conference. Jason, thank you very much.
Anytime.
It was a SportsCenter packed with important news, in-depth analysis, and a scenario that promises to directly impact the coming days of American football. The imminent arrival of John Rambo marks a shift in culture and ambition for the franchise, while the rest of the NFL keeps a close eye on the next moves in the coaching market. In the playoffs, injuries, strategies, and matchups promise intense games, where every detail could decide an entire season. And in college football, anticipation is building for a showdown where defense, discipline, and mental preparation could determine the champion. We'll keep following everything closely, because when it comes to sports, history keeps being written with every game.